What is up, friends? As you can see, warm weather is upon us, and in this video we're going to talk about 6 beers that will make your warm weather experience better. Buds are on the trees, the birds are chirping, you're stringing up the fishing line, you're dusting off the golf clubs, you're getting outside, and you're thinking, what better value to life is there than an ice-cold beer? The nice thing about craft beer is that generally we have a vast amount of variety and quality. And in this video I want to highlight 6 styles that are reasonably well known but sometimes forgotten, and I think hopefully will remind you that, hey, A, I've never tried that, B, I know I've tried that and I like it, or C, let's just have a beer. So last thing I want to say before I dive into this is that in fact many of these styles are extremely difficult to execute and brew, and the perception can often be, oh, that's a light beer, it must be easy to make. Couldn't be further from the truth. So the first style that I want to highlight for the purposes of this video is Kulch. Kulch is a wonderful warm weather beer. Why is it a wonderful warm weather beer? Well, it's incredibly light, it's incredibly effervescent, and it's incredibly flavorful. A Kulch is a very difficult style to make. It can often be misunderstood. Oftentimes people are under the impression that Kulch is a lager. In fact, it's not. It's an ale that's fermented with an ale yeast coldly. So lagers, bottom fermenting yeast, fermented cold. Kulch, ale, top fermented, but fermented cold. And what happens is you get this remarkably crisp and refreshing, almost lager style beer that's very low in alcohol, that's very easy to drink, that when done correctly and using authentic ingredients happens to be incredibly refreshing and complex and interesting. So here at Treehouse we make this beer. It's called Outlier. It's our rendition of a Köln style Kulch. And if you're in the liquor store and you're looking for something just to try Kulch for the first time, if you never had, I'd recommend Reisdorf. It's readily available, always quite good. Look for those freshness dates. And if you can't find Reisdorf and you're not close to Treehouse, support your local brewery and see what they're doing in the realm of Kulch. All right, so the second style of beer I want to highlight is probably my single most favorite hot weather, warm weather beer, and that is a Hefeweizen beer. So Hefeweizen is heavily driven by phenolics and ferulic acid, which is generated during a mashing process, which if you're making a Hefeweizen and you're not doing that rest, you're probably not going to have as expressive of a phenolic character. It also has a lot to do with how you coax, evolve, and manage your fermentation. Very expressive beer. You're going to get a lot of clove-like spice. You're going to get a lot of banana-like esters that are going to be in this beer. When the style is done correctly, it should be mildly hazy but not opaque. It should be highly effervescent, and again, if done right, it's going to be incredibly refreshing and delicious. So here at Treehouse, our example is called Dreamer if you find yourself close. If you are on the mass market looking to try a Hefeweizen beer for the first time, I would recommend the gold standard, which is the Weihenstephaner Hefeweizen beer. Next style is, again, personal favorite of mine. This might actually just be a list of my personal favorites, but that said, hopefully my favorites are your favorites, and that is Japanese rice lager. Here at Treehouse, we make one called Komarebi. If you're searching for one in the mass market, they're not hard to find. I would recommend Asahi. Again, it's regularly available, but this style of beer implements that little bit of rice sweetness. It's incredibly crisp, again, super effervescent, and it should be very soft, delicate, and expressive, and easy to drink. Are you guys catching the theme here? Soft, elegant, expressive, easy to drink. That's Japanese rice lager. I would almost guarantee you, somewhere close to you, you have access to a craft brewery that's doing interesting things with this style. Next style I want to highlight is the most maligned style in all of beer, and that of course is the American Light Lager. Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, Busch Light, Milwaukee's Best Light. Those are all examples of this style made on the mass market. They're made consistently and deliciously, but the beautiful thing about a craft example, for example, we make one called House Lager here at Treehouse. House Lager uses malt that was grown and malted just 25 miles down the road here from a place called Thrall Family Malt. That malt in this beer, along with the corn, creates a little bit of sweetness, and then a huge amount of grainy malt character that you don't get in the mass market examples, all while being soft, dry, crushable, and delicious, like a mass market example. So light lager is a style that you should not ignore, especially in 2025. breweries like Treehouse and many others are doing very interesting things with this light and refreshing style. All right, guys, second to last style I want to highlight, I think, is the most niche of my selections for these top 6, and this is a Polish style Pilsner. Here at Treehouse, we make one called Pimiatka. We import malt that's grown in Poland. We utilize hops that are called Lubelski hops to make a very crisp, again, effervescent, and reasonably hop-forward example of the style. In a beer like this, you're going to get a lot of crisp malt character. You're going to get floral and earthy hop character, and it's going to be supremely refreshing. There's a lot of craft breweries that are interpreting this and utilizing those Lubelski hops. If you want to try a Polish import, there's Żywiec, there's, I think it's pronounced Okocim, export lager. There's a few examples there on the shelf, but they're always going to be crisp, well-made, and refreshing, especially if you check your dates and even if you find them refrigerated. All right, guys, the last example that I want to highlight, I think, is probably second on the most summertime, crushable, refreshing craft beer end of this list. And that, of course, is the Belgian Style witbier. Here at Treehouse, we make one called Surfcaster. We're all fishermen. The stripers are starting to run. What better beer to have alongside that than Surfcaster? Like the Hefeweizen beer, a witbier is heavily phenolic and yeast-driven. Of course, you also use either sweet orange or bitter orange peel in the kettle along with coriander to give it that classic Belgian wit character. And then, you know, for Surfcaster, we use a little bit of Citra hops, which is a little bit new agey, but we like that complement of citrus to kind of double that citrus punch that you get rather than throwing an orange in the glass, which I don't think is wrong, by the way. Drink your beer as you enjoy it. That's Surfcaster. And of course, if you want a mass market example, you have Hoegaarden and you have the beloved Allagash White, which should be readily available anywhere you look. All right, guys, so let me know what you think. Do you enjoy this type of beer when the weather is warm? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Also, keep in mind that this is just one small snapshot of dozens of examples of beer. You have dry hop lager, you have all sorts of different regional pilsners, you have northern German pilsners, you have Bavarian style lagers, you have Czech style pilsners, Japanese rice lagers, Chinese lagers, the list goes on. Let's love and celebrate the wonders of craft beer here in the summer of 2025. Let's hit that subscribe button. I want to thank you guys for watching. I miss y'all, and we'll see you again soon.